Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
Hey, welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas. As always, I am podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle. And alongside me is Ryan Holmes, our HOLM22, here to talk Raiders with you. We just don't have good news, but we get you through the tough times here on the program. The Raiders go to Denver, get smoked. It's really not a good situation for the Raiders right now. I have some injuries to talk about as well, some all-22 as well. If you hear some screaming in the background, the Padres just beat the Dodgers, and everybody here is running in the complex, running like down the street, like just screaming and yelling. So if you hear anything, there's nothing going on, nothing to really see here. Let's start off with the drama of the day. I basically I have like just the section of the rundown as drama, and one is Christian Wilkins being out indefinitely. The question I had for you, because you work in sports, is there a difference in the term out for the season and indefinitely? Like it doesn't definitely mean we're kind of dipping into next season?
No, I think it definitely means they don't have a time frame on it right now, so they don't want to label it. So it's normally 6 to 8 weeks before they can really put weight on it.
Yeah.
And then rehab and get in shape. He's out for the season. Like I fully don't expect Christian
100%.
Wilkins to play this year.
100%.
Even if it's 8 weeks, that puts you into week 13 or 14. And at that point, with the way this team's playing right now, you're not going to push to try to get him back on the field week 16, 17. Now, if they magically went on a run and they found themselves in the playoffs, could he come back? Yeah, there's a potential for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't expect to see Christian Wilkins play again this year. And the sad part is he's been playing really well the last 2 weeks.
He has been, and that's the reason why the Raiders got him to kind of pair with Max Crosby and wreak havoc on opposing backfields, if you will. So that's a big blow. And was it on the celebration? Was it on the was it play before or something like that, or when did he seem like he was limping?
So I actually watched the All-22 today, and I was really paying attention to. Because I saw a post saying that he played with tape on his ankle, and I'm watching the first series, the second series, and he had no tape on his left foot. And then you see the third. Remember when it was 2nd and 23, and there was a penalty that made it 2nd and 38, and then Antonio Pierce declined it, or actually accepted it and allowed the Broncos to have 2 plays to try to get the 30-something yards.
Mm-hmm.
I first noticed it on the 3rd and 34. So Bo Nix threw a ball in the flat. And normally you see Wilkins like running those guys down, like just busting it to the sidelines. Nate Hobbs makes the tackle along the sideline right before the field goal attempt. And you see Christian Wilkins kind of pull up lame. He's kind of jogging. And then you see him kind of limping to the sideline. And then he was kind of frustrated as he went off the field. He did not play the next series. So the Broncos got the ball back. He wasn't out there. And then when they got the ball back a second series after that play, his left ankle was all taped up. He ended up playing the rest of the second quarter. So he got hurt with about 13 minutes left in the second quarter, missed a series, played till basically he got the sack on it close to halftime, but clearly didn't come out for the second half. So it could have been something that was lingering, that was bothering him. And then all of a sudden, like he's running after a guy and then he feels it, tried to play through it a little bit and realized he couldn't. But it's an unfortunate injury for a guy the Raiders paid a lot of money to. He was their splash. He was the free agent that was supposed to come in and play well. Yep. He was. And now he's gone. Now you don't have Kuntz and Wilkins along that defensive line, and Max Crosby's in for a lot of triple teams coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, I was just somebody just called me today when I was driving around. They were like, hey, I mean, is Max gonna see the backfield again? I mean, Max is great and he's fantastic, and he'll find a way back there sometimes, but it just got a whole lot harder now. Because I mean, I'm gonna let Tyree, I'm gonna let Adam Butler, I'm gonna let all these other guys try to go one-on-one, but Crosby's not beating me. I don't care where you put him on the defensive line as far as that is. We did see a quarterback change in this game. The carousel continues between AOC and Gardner Minshew. Now, he's playing it close to the best. I'm not sure how much that really matters. it's I thought the start was very good in the Bronco game. I jokingly text you they're gonna win, they're gonna blow them out. I was just joking, but
I
but
told you not to do that.
I know you have to do that. But once they got into the red zone and like before the pick, the pick six by Sartain should have came back because of a hold, but we won't go there. Um,
They threw the flag. They just picked it up.
picked it up. It picked it up. It picked it up. Amazing how that flag got picked up. Well, that was amazing. But and Bowers was wide open, so it was a bad situation there as far as that goes. But AOC came in later. I mean, it's these guys. Both of these guys aren't starters. So like I know there is a faction in Raider Nation. Like, but I'm telling you, man, like don't get your hopes up with AOC. Like it's not going to change. It's not going to change that much as far as the performance goes. He's not an NFL starter. And we're gonna find that out whether or not I think he might play against the Steelers, but I do think, you know, I think both of them might play against the Steelers because right now maybe Gardner starts again. Who knows? But like the Steelers defense is no joke as far as rushing the passer.
Yeah, I tend to think that they are going to make the switch here to Aiden O'Connell. I hope behind the scenes, whichever guy they go with, he gets all the reps all week because the worst thing this team can do right now is give split reps this week and not really know what they're doing. Hopefully they're just saying that and they know what they're doing. So whoever the starter is can get the full weeks of preparation. Let's be honest, Aiden O'Connell, mop up time, should have thrown an interception in that game earlier this year, ends up throwing a touchdown after it was dropped. It was against a prevent defense. A lot of underneath stuff was wide open. Kind of the same thing in this game. He struggled in this game. He went 10 for 20, he completed 50% of his passes against a prevent defense.
Yeah.
The ball he threw to Brock Bowers, he threw it a little early. It was a little hot. It was a little high. The timing was off a little bit there. But I think the issue this team has now, and it was evident when watching the Broncos tape, is no one's scared of DJ Turner or even Trey Tucker at this point. So like Jacoby Myers isn't beating you deep. Trey Tucker had a really hard time getting off press coverage in this game. And DJ Turner is a nice rotational wide receiver that you can do some gimmicky stuff with, but to count on him as a full-time number 3 slot guy, it's not going to work. And that basically just leaves Brock Bowers as the only guy in the passing game you really have to pay a lot of attention to. So this team is going to have to manufacture 10, 12, 13 play drives. They're going to have to run the ball just to move it down the field. Now, occasionally they're going to hit a big play. And I think making the switch to Aiden O'Connell, he may get the ball out a little bit quicker. He may be able to get, 4, 5, 6 yards here and there. He's not going to throw the ball down the field. I know people want to say he's this great deep ball thrower. He was the worst deep ball accuracy thrower in the entire league last year. So I don't know where people get off thinking that he's the next coming of Daryl LaMonica, but
yeah.
He might take a couple more sacks. Now, having said that, Gardner Minshew took a sack in this game he probably shouldn't have, but you got TJ Watt against DJ Glaze. You got a rookie trying to block one of the top 3 edge rushers in the league.
Yep.
This is going to be tough for whoever's back there because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball either.
Yeah.
So they may just be like, hey, let's just get the ball. Aiden O'Connell, get it out. Let's try to move this thing 5, 6, 7 yards at a time, matriculate it down the field. And they're going to have to try to run the ball, but I think they'll call a little bit more play action. It seems like they call more play action when AOC's back there or O'Connell versus when Minshew's back there. When you're going to have to scrap all the RPO stuff we've seen the last couple of weeks, some of the boot action that we've seen the last couple of weeks. That's all going to go away when Aiden O'Connell comes in. So it's just going to be pure like pocket type of stuff. He's going to have to get the ball out very quickly.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing too about this game too was like with Getsy, it seems like, I mean, I watched all 22 as well. They just shut everything down after the pick. Like, hey, I'm not, okay, that was it. I mean, I know we threw a bomb to Brock Bowers. I knew I was moving it like crazy, but like now I'm just gonna shut it down because we threw a pick. Like, he just, I don't know. I mean, if I think AP will be back no matter what happens this year. I don't know and I don't know the length of AP's contract. So like, I don't know what it's, I don't know if if he has 1 year left or 2 years left. Who knows? I mean,
it was reported it was a 2-year deal. So we don't know if that's fact, but that's the report.
Who's coming in for to be the OC next year? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's obviously, I think it's going to be Getsy again. Like, it has to be. Like, Getsy's contract, it was probably a 2-year deal. Go with APs. I don't know, man. Like he's just not. He's really not it. And then I don't know why you lose. Your aggressiveness off of one play. I mean, you're moving it left and right against this defense, which is a pretty good defense.
Yeah, I thought again in the first half, a little bit more creativity. You saw some different run schemes. You saw them get the ball to Brock Bowers early. Now the touchdown pass to Brock Bowers was just Brock Bowers making a great play. That wasn't really schemed up. They've run that play several times this year, but I thought as after the interception, I think I texted you, it was like they were preseason play calls. Like the next three was run, incomplete, basically punt. When they fell behind by multiple scores, that's when it got really basic. I mean, when
Yes.
ASC came in, it was basic. There was a play where five receivers all basically ran to the same spot. I was like, holy crap. Like I watched it like three times and I'm like, why are
Did,
all these receivers running to the middle of the field
did you
5
post
yards
that?
over center?
Did you post that one?
I might now, but it was bad. But it just seems like he's like, hey, we're behind, and they're not like I'm not going to say giving up, but they're like, oh, we're going to save some of the stuff we have for next week. And, but again, I think that it's going to be really hard to push the ball down the field because the only guy you have on the field right now you can really do
Turner.
that to is Tucker. But if he can't get off press coverage, if teams just throw on the film and jam him, it's going to be tough for them
Yeah.
to do that. So we'll see. But Getsy does it's getting a little better for stretches, but I want to see it over a whole game and like just continue. Like the run to Abdullah that we'll talk about here in a minute was a great design. They ran it
Yeah.
one other time, it got stuffed, and we never saw it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this didn't work this one time. Let's get rid of it. But let's just go back to calling the same five preseason plays that we know don't work, and let's just keep running those.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. Davante is still a Raider right now, so he's not been traded yet. Although everybody's sitting on their hands, waiting to they can't wait to tell everybody where he's
But Kay
going.
Adams told us like he had a bunch of stuff going on today and couldn't go on our show. It's
Yeah.
amazing how Davante decided to bail on that after last week, basically lying his ass off.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
and today she just comes up with a cover like, what was going on? Because it's midnight on the East Coast. He's still a Raider, so
Yeah.
couldn't have been too much stuff going on.
Not too much going on, but we'll see. There was a development today as far as like one of the teams that looks like they'd be interested in it, and it would obviously it was Robert Saleh was relieved of his duties as the head coach of the New York Jets. So now I think Ulrich takes over that piece there, and then does Davante still want to go there? Hackett is not there. I guess one of the rumors that we are hearing that was that he was on the verge of firing Hackett, and that was something there. So so I guess I love how everybody says that no involvement whatsoever by Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure there's no conversation there as far as that is. But thoughts about the Jets relieving their coach, and then now all of a sudden wanting to bring in Davante. They're 2-3 right now, so it's not like their season's over yet. But they still. I didn't see anything in that game against the Vikings where I was like, hey, like Aaron Rodgers is back to old Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers struggled in that Vikings game. The defense struggled early. The offensive line's not very good, and they can't really run the ball. So it's
Mm-hmm.
an interesting team that he wants to go to. I think this actually ramps up the Jets' interest because now the owner fired the head coach, not the GM. The owner even
Yeah,
came out and said he did it. So if I'm
yeah,
the GM and you just fired the owner and the GM said this is like the best talent, most talented Jets team they've had in a long, long time, and I'm the
yes,
GM, it's like, hey, I need to win now. This guy might fire me too. So I don't care
yeah,
what it's going to cost. I need to go get Davante. Now, is
yeah.
it going to work out? The Jets have a lot more issues than a wide receiver.
They do.
But it can't hurt. I think the schedule gets pretty soft for them here coming up and into the second half, especially in that division, because if Tua's not going to play for a while, you basically have a layup, 2 games against them. They still have a game with the Patriots. That's three. So I think this team can still find a way to 9 or 10 wins if they have Davante, if Rodgers just has to be okay and the defense plays at a decent level. Jeff Ulbrich, ex linebacker, another linebacker gets an interim head coach job. Was with the 49ers for a while. I've actually met him before, great dude. So wish him the best and hope that he can hold on to the job. He was a guy that I thought the Raiders could have at least talked to last year. He was on my list of candidates, so it's good to see him get an opportunity.
Yeah, if you've seen that interchange between him and I think Mora at UCLA on the sideline was back in the day was pretty fiery, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Obviously this is a situation where if they can just if he can. It's weird though that I mean, like I know Douglas is just going to do whatever he can to keep his job, but it's meant might be giving up a lot for a guy who's not going to be there. He possibly not be there next year. Like I mean
Yeah,
that's a big part. That's a whole big part of it. So I mean, and Davante wants to go to a team where he doesn't know who the quarterback's going to be next year. Again, it's gonna be very similar to the situation he had in Green Bay. So
agree.
I'm not sure what's going on there. I still think, I mean, I know the money situation with the Bills isn't great. They have to figure it out. I thought the Bills or Washington would be really good spots for him, but hey, we'll see. We'll see what Devontae wants to do.
I think the issue with the Jets too, and Woody Johnson basically was begging Hassan Reddick to show up today. If Hassan Reddick shows up,
Yeah,
that eats into the cap space they have because right now he's only counting 750,000 against their cap.
he'll
So
show
if he
up.
shows up,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can't
yeah.
afford Adams unless they restructure some deals. So I thought that was interesting.
He does. He'll show up. He'll show Ryan. He'll show up, but you have to give him a new contract. That's the reason why he's on your team. That's the
Show
reason
up in week
why.
10, so it counts. So it gets a accrued season.
Exactly. So I mean, like come on, let's just be real. All right, all 22 time. Let's go here, and we got 3rd and 7 here, and then we got Max Crosby, one on one with a tight end here, beats him for a sack. I think that the funny thing about it is, and I see this a lot in college football and pro football. My favorite thing offensive coordinators do is, hey, there's an all world defensive end there. Let me block him with a tight end.
Yeah, this was interesting. This was early second half. And this is the Raiders in this game, Patrick Graham, for the most part, just played basic cover two majority of the game. It
Mhm.
was mind blowing that they didn't really mix up the coverages. They didn't really bring pressure a lot. When they did, it was a sim pressure where they're still bringing four. I thought they tried to give some exotic looks. And then I saw this one. I'm like, okay, finally, like this. And we're into the third quarter. They finally showed a look. So this looks like man. A little bit of indicator. Jack Jones is aligned over number 3 in the slot. He's back off the line. He's behind. There's some depth behind the other two corners. So there might be a slight indicator they may roll out of this man, but you have Trayvon Merrick up on the line of scrimmage, and they actually spin out of this, and it turns into cover two, which they played a lot of. So I thought it was an interesting wrinkle. You're able to get Jack Jones. He's now playing the deep half as if he's a safety. I believe it's Travis Harper. Could be wrong. Who's the other safety? He played a lot in the deep. You have Polamalu up along the line of scrimmage um, as well as Merrick. So the good thing is here, this look, they walk up 6. You could say 7 because you have I think it's Merrick and Polamalu there to the offensive right,
Mhm.
which leads the way they block it. You have Max lined up is the furthest outside defender. He's matched up against a tight end. He easily beats him basically, which is a rip move. And then changes direction. He's able to grab the ankle of Bo Nix and get him on the ground for a second sack. So that was really like the only coverage in the game where you saw them really try to disguise something on 3rd and 7, which was interesting.
Yeah. Got 3rd and 12. And we got Jacorian Bennett here at the top of the route here, doing some things with a pass breakup.
Yeah, so this is 3rd and 12. This isn't they're in 2 man, so you basically have 2 high safeties. Everyone else is playing man. Jacorian Bennett is aligned to the offensive left. He's the defensive right, aligned up against number 1. And they're trying to get in trail technique. So you want the corners playing, letting the receiver get on top of them and just ride that back, that hip, because you have help over the top. The interesting thing here is you kind of see Bennett try to do that, and there's kind of some contact there at the top of the route as the wide receiver tries to break in on the dig. I don't know if their feet got caught or, they just ran into each other, but you see Bennett keeps his concentration. He spins out of that contact, and you see him put his foot in the ground and close and knock this ball away on 3rd and 12. I thought it was a great play to show kind of like mentally he could have last year. He probably doesn't burst out of that. If there's contact, he kind of probably spins out of it and looks around, but he put his
Yeah.
foot in the ground and was able to knock this ball down to force a punt. So I thought it was a great rep by Jacorian Bennett.
All right. And then we have the play you talked about before with Abdullah. A nice explosive run here for the Raiders.
Yeah, so this one's interesting. They haven't shown this yet this year on film. So you actually have Brock Bowers aligned as a wide receiver off the line of scrimmage to the same side as Harrison Bryant. Bowers is going to come in motion. And he's actually his responsibility is that end of the line edge defender who has to respect him in the flat. So Bowers doesn't even try to block him. He kind of steps like he's going to block him and then he
Yeah.
releases into the flat. That holds that defender. And then Harrison Bryant comes around as kind of like the puller into the hole. He actually gets the corner who's coming in And then the key here is Colton Miller is down blocking on the defensive tackle to kind of create that hole. And Jacoby Myers comes in from the offensive left and takes out the linebacker. And then DJ Turner also works upfield to get to the safety. So this was well blocked. Like I said, they ran it one other time in the game, didn't quite have the success, but this is kind of out of that 49ers playbook. This is something called counter slice. So you watch the running back. It's almost like a counter play because he steps to the right and then he actually is going to bend this back to the left. And then the puller is not an offensive lineman. It's actually the two tight ends coming across.
Pullers. What was it called again?
Counter slice.
Counter slice. Okay.
So you get like the slice or stiff blocks from the tight ends, and it's a counter play essentially.
The reaction of it's what the reaction to the defenders to Bowers is a pretty cool like little wrinkle to the play. Like
Bowers is wide open, so like if they run this play again and
they do a play action,
this,
exactly, yeah, he's wide open.
Because I mean, they caught him in the right defense, but like in a certain defense here, you can because the corner came in with Myers when Myers came in towards the linebacker. So like if you do this right, like this could be an explosive play for Bowers as well.
Yeah, no question about it. Michael Mayer, is it? There's no, everything's pretty much a lock and key and just like tight with him. Like nobody knows he's away from the team, but nobody knows why it is. He's away from the team.
The report today was it's something that came up again. So it's something that has happened in the past with him. It could be family related. Okay. The team probably. If this happened in college, the team probably knew about this and they knew this could be an issue moving forward. Maybe that's why he fell in the draft. We don't know all the background and the info that teams collect through their scouts and their connections within the league. So I hoping the best, hope he's back as soon as he can. I'd love to see him on the field because they're going to need him. They're going to have to run a lot of 12 personnel. Or as I said last week, when you go to 11, Bowers, you line him up as a wide receiver and you use a traditional tight end as tight end. You can't have Bowers is the tight end 11 where because he blocked a ton this game and you're like, why is he not running routes? And he still had, what did he have? 10 or 12 receptions. It was a big number.
Yeah. I would say this too. I mean, like, hey, listen, if Andy's going to be out here running, any reason to be out here running 14 personnel before tight ends, let's just do the same thing. Let's go.
They've tried Andrews Pete, but no matter what they've asked him to do, he's been awful so far this year. So he got some snaps this week again, and you're like, all right, just scrap that.
Let's scrap it. It's over. Raiders Steelers. I don't know if anything else from the Bronco game. I mean, I thought it was a mess. It was, and towards the end, I mean, thank God that they actually dropped some passes in the end zone because that score would have been, even worse for the Raiders. But were any final thoughts about the Broncos?
I thought anything that could go wrong after the pick six did. Special teams didn't show up. You saw a big punt return. You saw a big kick return.
Yep.
You saw a penalty. I don't know what Janorius Robinson's doing. I went back and watched every field goal or extra point the Broncos attempted, and he was always lining up in the A gap and then trying to jump across to the other A gap and get his hands up. But what happened on the particular play that he got penalized before the half that ended up costing her the 3 points, he did kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. And when he jumped, I believe it's 77, who's normally the right guard, was playing left guard on special. He like dipped down and like flipped him over his back like a wrestling move, and that's how he got up in the air in his fleet flip. I don't think Janorius Robinson was trying to do that, but I don't know. And then after that, he didn't do it again. So it was almost like he was trying to do something on his own where he was trying to jump into the other A gap across the face of the center without any success. And then once he got the penalty, they must have told him stop doing that. But the special team coach should have told him to stop doing that after the first attempt.
Yeah, sure. All right, Steelers coming to town. They are, as advertised, good defensive team. They'll be in the game. They'll I mean Pickens is doing whatever he wants. I guess he's walking through some routes here. And as far as that goes,
I won't say I saw something against Carolina by a number 17 that I could put out, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. But it is what it is as far as that is. So like, what is really the mindset here? Because they're undermanned now at this point. I mean, and I think Tom is a pretty astute coach. He knows when the enemy's bleeding and how to attack them, especially they're going to run the football. They're going to try to get the ball to their tight end. They're going to try to get the ball to Pickens if he wants to play this week, things like that.
Yeah, the key here with Justin Fields is they're going to have to stop the run. They can't let the ground game get going for the Steelers. That's going to be tough because they are undermanned. And then contain him within the pocket. Like they can't let Justin Fields get outside and just some quarterback runs and just pick a ton of yards. They have to make him try to throw the ball to beat them. I think the issue they're going to run into is defensively. Right now, they're down Kuntz, they're down Wilkins, they're down Epps, and they're down Diablo. It's 4 starters on this defense. They tried Amari Gainer for a game, it didn't work. They tried Tommy Eichenberg, it didn't work. Luke Masterson's hurt, so like Tommy Eichenberg probably gets the start again. I know Bernie's been playing a lot in pass coverage situations, but
Yeah.
Eichenberg really struggled. And in this game where they're going to have to get in there and stop the run,
Yep.
they're going to need those inside backers, but they're also going to need those interior 3 guys. I don't think John Jenkins has played that well this year. Adam Butler has. Adam Butler's more of like swim move, get into the gap, get upfield penetration. They just hold the point of attack against a double team. And then they're going to need a 3rd guy. It was Wilkins. So where do they go for that? Is it Silvera on rundowns? Is it the guy they got from the Colts that went to UNLV, Lalalu? I can't really pronounce his name. Because they're going to go 5-man front again. So you're going to have Tyree and Snowden and Robinson and Max. But those 3 guys inside, when you go 5-man surface there along the line, they need 3 big bodies. So maybe they call up a guy, maybe a guy off the practice squad, but we'll see.
Yeah. And I think also too is like, I mean, the Raiders haven't always been the best against running quarterbacks. So that's an element to this game as well. I can see them trying to do whatever they can to get him on the edge and try to do some things in the run game. Najee Harris is only averaging like 3.3 yards per carry. They don't have a great offensive line in Pittsburgh either. So that could be something as well. So we'll see as far as that goes. And then Freiermuth is the second has second most targets on the team right after Pickens. Pickens has 300 yards right now, and he has how many touchdowns? He has no touchdowns yet right now. So all the passing touchdowns have gone to Freiermuth. So Freiermuth is going to be the main guy who the Raiders have to worry about in the passing game as well. So it's
big boy week.
It's big boy week, rock fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I thought this week was gonna be a rock fight, but this one looks like it's gonna be a really ugly one too as well. So, and then that drama between Pickens, we'll see what happens there. He might want to use this as a get right game for him, and the Steelers offense. But it's
Mike Tomlin called it load management. Come on.
That's funny if he said that. He did say that for real? I thought you were joking.
It's load management for wide receivers.
I thought you were joking. That's funny. This would be the second time Justin Fields has come through. He beat the Raiders with the Bears as well.
I was at that game.
We've been at some brutal games.
You remember that game was like a day or 2 after the whole emails came out.
The Gruden thing. So
Gruden emails.
Yeah, and Gruden is very interesting on YouTube right now, by the way, if you want to check that out.
It's got Chandler Jones on us.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that one. But if he's looking to get another head coaching job, that's not gonna help. But yeah, so mostly a running quarterback, inside the numbers with the occasional ball over the top. I mean, that's what you're gonna see from them. Arthur Smith has really done a good job of helping him just protect the football, because a lot of what Justin Fields struggled with the Bears was protecting the football, and he has one interception right now. I'm not sure how many fumbles he has, but 1 INT in this many games is a good spot for him, and I think the team's confident with him at the helm. I mean, I think there's a ceiling. I mean, there's a cap on how far they can go with him, but he's not doing terribly with the Steelers right now.
Now, this is the Justin Fields revenge game against Luke Getsy, is what this game comes down to.
I totally forgot about that dynamic. Oh
yeah.
My God. Who was it? Was it
the
Getsy?
Chicken or the egg? Who was it?
Getsy or was it Fields? I know. I forgot about that part of it too.
So yeah. The Steelers, they're going to be tough because they're going to try to run the ball. I think they can be patient. Even if they're not running it well early, just try to wear this Raiders defense down, because they're going to be light in the trenches. They're down numbers at linebacker. They're down numbers along the defensive front. They're not going to ask Justin Fields to do too much. They're not going to ask him to make full field reads, throw the ball down the field. So run the ball, get him on the edge, some design runs, get the ball underneath to the fullback. To the tight end, and maybe some crossing routes. But they're not going to ask him to do a ton. And they don't have to try to get out to a big lead because this Raiders offense, I don't think is going to move the ball very much against the Steelers defense.
7 points might be a big lead, and I think if any of these teams get up 10, it could be really tough for the other team to come back. Because we're not talking about two of the best offenses in all
Especially if
football.
Getsy decides that Brock Bowers needs to be a blocker this week to help DJ Glaze against TJ Watt. If that happens, this team is really going to struggle to move the football.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's crazy. It's nuts. Prediction time. Who you think's gonna win this game? I mean, it's like I'm not like I think
I
we
did pick
mentioned.
the Broncos last week, so
Yeah,
but not by that score.
I picked the Raiders last week. So, but this is gonna be the last time I picked the Raiders for I think for a minute as far as that goes. I think this is a people do jokingly in my Raiders chat we keep sending like different kinds of military tanks to each other about tanking the season. They're not going to tank the season, but like I told Ryan before the show, it will start to happen organically because they're playing teams that are just better than them. Like you know what I mean, and they don't have their full allotment of defensive players. They don't have solid quarterback play. It's a lot of different things. So it will happen organically, and then when you get down late in the season, that's when you start to say, "Hey, Max, it's 4 weeks left. Can we consider shutting you down?" Things like that, conversations like that. So, I think the Steelers win. I'll go 20-6. Kind of an ugly game
Six.
there.
Wow.
20-6. I don't know.
They got to get one drive. You can't give them one drive.
I gave him 2 drives. I have 2 field
Two
goals.
field goals.
2 field goals. So 20-6.
Are you
20-6.
sure AP won't punt and pass up a 58-yarder in
Oh,
Denver with
God.
Daniel Carlson? Or
I
we
don't
don't
know.
know.
No, he might. Wait. What score do you think is going to happen here?
I think the team still comes out and they play hard for AP. I just don't think that they have enough able bodies. Pittsburgh's the more talented team here, at several different positions with all the injuries the Raiders have. I know fans want to throw the tank word around. I got a million messages today about tanks rolling all over the videos I was putting out. That's not how
Yeah.
the teams talk about it. The coaching staff doesn't do that. AP's not going to do that. The assistants aren't going to do that. The players aren't going to talk about that because that means that most of this roster won't be here next year. So these guys are playing for their jobs. As far as sitting guys down, that probably won't even enter their minds until they're officially eliminated from the playoffs. As long as there's a chance, I think they're going to
Yeah.
play everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can get Max off the field at the end of the year, even if you wanted to, if he's, got 15 or 18 sacks and he's pushing for some personal goals. So we'll see. But as far as this game with the Steelers, I think it's going to kind of be slug it out, field position game early, maybe a turnover here or there. This Raiders defense, for as good as people want to think they're going to be, I think the big thing, and I've been talking about this all year with you, is they don't create turnovers. You can't be a top defense if you don't
Yes.
take the ball away. The
100%.
sacks have been hit or miss, but this team right now, if you look at the cornerbacks between Bennett, Jones, and Hobbs, I don't think they even have an interception. Merrick might have the only one. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
this team just does not take the ball away. I'm sorry, Spillane had one against Baltimore as well. So if they're not taking the ball away and Pittsburgh can just take their time and just establish the run and maybe hit a play there, I think that the Pittsburgh defense will create a turnover. I have AOC starting this game, so when I
Yeah.
pick the score, I'm predicting it based on what I think he's going to do, which I don't think changes much of what the Raiders can do offensively. But
Yeah.
I think it's 23-13. I'll take the Steelers. I think the crowd's going to be 70%
Oh,
Steelers fans. Like
crazy.
it's tough for Raiders fans now to even
Yeah.
with the product out there with all the injuries. This ticket, it was the most popular ticket on the schedule for Raiders fans that wanted to move out of some seats and recoup some money.
Yeah.
Steelers fans are probably foaming at the mouth. They smell blood in the water a weekend in
Yeah.
Vegas right before it gets cold back in Pittsburgh. And the Steelers travel really well. So I expect that place to be packed with Steelers fans. And I just think the defense, you have a young offensive line. You have Jackson Powers Johnson, who actually struggled this week. Dylan Parham got his butt kicked most of the game by Zach Allen.
I love Zach Allen.
And now you're facing the Steelers defense. It's a 3-4 zone dropping, blitzing, overload. Like there's a ton of stuff they're going to throw at these linemen. And I'm not sure DJ Glaze is, and he's played well. I think DJ Glaze is going to be a nice starter in this league for a long time, but it's tough to ask him to go up against TJ Watt with all the different looks he's going to see.
Yeah.
Colton Miller's not 100%. I don't think the Raiders are going to be able to run the ball in this defense very much. So
Yeah.
it's going to be tough sledding. And I just think the Steelers overall are just a better football team.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at too, like for the Steelers, and the Raiders have actually scored more points than the Steelers this year. But I think for the Steelers only gave up 73 points in 5 games. So I mean, that's pretty good. So they're right neck and neck with the Ravens right now. I think the Ravens are still better than them, but they're right there. So like for them, they're just saying like, hey, hang in there, and maybe they can either split or sweep the series against the Ravens. So they're thinking division title. We'll see what the Raiders are thinking about as well. So a lot of big games coming up this weekend. I don't think this is a big game for like playoff standings, but for AP, I mean, and the Raiders staff, it's a big game. All these games are huge, and I mean, I know for Getsy, he gotta do his thing, man. He gotta just like the first 3 drives. Getsy needs to be there for the whole game instead of half a game.
Yeah, I think at this point, the Raiders fans are looking at the schedule going, okay, with all these guys hurt, like what's the realistic outcome of this season? And you look at it, it's hard. Like maybe the Rams, maybe the Dolphins, but like there's going to be a stretch there when you're playing Kansas City and you're playing them twice and you're playing Cincinnati, who's not playing well, but Joe Burrow is.
Yeah,
To find a lot of wins when this offense can't get moving. And I think the other thing I want to watch for is, and you mentioned earlier, Buffalo. If Buffalo can figure out the cap, or if they can get the Raiders to pay some of this salary,
yeah,
they play the Jets on Monday night. Can you imagine? You're the Bills, and you see the Jets floundering. They just fired their coach. You want to stick it to your division rival? Walk into that field next week with Davante Adams on your team
yeah,
across the field from Aaron Rodgers, beat them, and you basically putting the nail in the coffin on the season for the Jets. So, and they need a big time playmaker for Josh Allen. So if any team can get this done that needs it the most now, I think it's the Bills, because the
yeah,
Bills have a chance to compete
yeah,
and go somewhere in the playoffs. I don't think the Saints can, especially now
yeah.
with Carr being hurt as well. I
No,
don't really think the Jets with Davante Adams can. So if he really wants to win, he needs to find a way to get his way to Buffalo.
yeah, that's the spot, and that's the spot. And I think I also love the opportunity he might have in Washington, but I think Washington's going to be just they're going to sit there and just stay pat what they have right now. They're playing really well, playing really good football in Washington right now. It must be nice to have a brand new car at quarterback in Washington. Gotta love it.
I will say this: I did get all that 1-1 tanking, get our quarterback. And I kind of felt that the quarterback crop this year, you can prop up some of these guys if you want, but they all have flaws. And I think if you've been following like Jim Nagy and Dane Brugler, Senior Bowl, the Athletic, the Beast, guys that are really tied into the scouting community, they're all over the place on these quarterbacks. They talk to executives. I think there was an article I read last week where like they all had different guys at number one, number two. They all have them in different orders. There's
Which is
not a
weird.
slam dunk like
Yeah,
the
100%.
1, 2 top. Like none of these 5 guys have separated themselves. So this could be the year the Raiders are in a spot to take a quarterback, and you take whichever one you like. But I don't think there's the clear cut. This guy's a slam dunk franchise guy. This is the let's just take a shot at one of these guys and see what happens. And the Raiders, no matter what, they need to walk out of next year's draft with a quarterback. Like that's a
Yeah.
big problem. Like,
So
and
yeah,
I read a bunch of stuff again, even like Benny keeps putting this out. Like, well, no one would trade out. So this year there might be 5 guys going the first round, no matter where. And last year there was 6 before the Raiders picked at 13. Like this is more than a 1 or 2 quarterback draft. So if the Raiders like 2 guys and they're not in position to get them, take one of the other 3. You just got to start taking swings, because otherwise you're going to end up with what they have now and what they've had for the last 20 years.
yeah,
And just look around the league. I know people are saying, well, a lot of teams have taken young quarterbacks. They're going to be out. Like, look at the top 10. There's 6 or 7 teams that can take a quarterback.
yeah. And then you also have to worry about everybody reading up now, like the Carolinas of the world. The Saints will probably be in a spot for a young quarterback. So
I
it's
have it
a
right here on my phone. I have
yeah,
Tankathon up on my phone. It's
mhm.
Week 6, I'm already on Tankathon, but
Where's the
this
Raiders
is the
at
top 10.
right now? Where's the Raiders? Where's that right now?
They pick 11th, but right now ahead of them, I would say Cleveland, the Rams, Jacksonville, probably not, but that's at least 2. Carolina 3, Tennessee 4, Miami 5, the Jets 6, and right behind them you have New Orleans, the Giants. So like, there's 5 or 6 teams right in front of the Raiders right now that are going to be in the market for a quarterback. So,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens as the season goes on, but it's going to be hard for them to get to the number 1 pick because that means Carolina's going to have to win a couple of games. So I still think the Raiders can find a way to win 2 or 3 more and get to 5.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So we'll see. All right, Raider Nation. I'm out. I'm trying to hold back. I got some allergy things going on. I'm trying to hold back sneezes the whole time. I didn't sneeze the whole show. I'm so excited about that. So I was sneezing like crazy before we started. All right. Take care. Go Raiders.
All right. Take care.
Yep.